Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Harry from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content I will be covering today in this segment will be in the sport of boxing. If you guys haven't checked out episode 79, the latest episode of On the Hot Podcast is now available on all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into this bonus content segment I have for you guys today. I will be sharing my fight summary on the fight that took place last night in the boxing world between Teofimo Lopez and Sandoor Martin, a clash at 140 pounds that took place last night in the boxing world. So last night, this fight between the two boxers at the 140 pound division in boxing took place last night in New York City in Madison Square Garden. Teofimo Lopez's place to be, his favorite place to be when he fights, is New York City. He was there in the stomping grounds last night taking on Sandoor Martin, where he won this fight last night in a split decision that went the distance to all 10 rounds at the 140 pound division. But in my opinion, watching the fight from start to finish, I really thought that the wrong person won this fight. I thought that Sandoor Martin should have won this fight. I thought he outboxed and outscored Teofimo Lopez on the scorecard. I thought he had a knockdown scored on the scorecard. I think he should have had 2 knockdowns scored on the scorecard, but the referees didn't see it that way. I thought he scored his first knockdown in the second round, and then later on scored the second knockdown that was not officially scored. If that second knockdown is there, I think Sandoor Martin wins that fight by a split decision. And I'm talking about Sandoor Martin pulling off a huge upset instead of Teofimo Lopez barely escaping by with a narrow win last night. But it is what it is, and now both fighters are going to move on. So I have a lot of questions moving forward after this fight. Why was this a 10-round fight if this was a title eliminator fight in the 140-pound division? The title eliminator fights are just as important as a main event bout. Main event bouts are normally go the distance of 12 rounds. This should not have been a 10-round fight. This was a 10-round fight that arguably should have been 12 rounds. And if it was 12 rounds, Sandoor Martin definitely would have won that match. Definitely would have won that fight if there was 2 more rounds left to go in that boxing match. So that wasn't the case. So why was this a 10-round fight? Why is this the second time in Teofimo Lopez's time fighting at 140 pounds where there's not a 12-round fight? These are back-to-back 10-round fights. After Teofimo Lopez has moved up to 140 pounds, we didn't see this when he was fighting at 135 pounds. I'll get to that in a few moments, but I have a lot of questions about that as well, especially for a title eliminator fight. And the second question is Teofimo Lopez really the guy that he claims to be? He is a guy that likes to toot his own horn on a daily basis whenever he gets the platform, whenever he gets the chance to do it. Him and his father hype him up like we're seeing the next up-and-coming Canelo Alvarez. We're seeing the next up-and-coming guy, prodigy of a Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali. Anybody that was one of the all-time greats, him and his father praise him up and down like this is the next guy. This is the next guy that's going to carry the boxing world and the sport today. But is he really the guy that he claims to be? Because I'm not sure if he's the same guy that he once upon a time where he was sitting on top of the mountain, just a fight away from being the undisputed champion at a 135-pound division. The way how Devin Haney is undisputed champion right now, 135 pounds, this is what Teofimo Lopez was supposed to be. Devin Haney just wanted it more, and there's a lot of reasons why Devin Haney is the undisputed champion, but Teofimo Lopez was right there. He was the unified champion at 135 pounds. I like to clarify that because a lot of people that follow the sport of boxing believe that Teofimo Lopez was a undisputed champion, and so was George Kambosos. No. They were both unified champions, and Devin Haney is the first guy to be the undisputed champion, holding all 4 of the important belts in that division in quite some time. And the youngest to do it when he did it at 23 years of age. So Teofimo Lopez was right there at the top of the mountain as the unified champion at 135 pounds. I don't think he's the same guy that once upon a time beat one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world, and Lomachenko, where he beat him in 2020 to be the unified champion at 135 pounds. I don't think he's the same guy. I think instead of progressing, I think he's regressed, especially after that heartbreaking loss they suffered at the hands of George Kambosos when they fought in late November of 2021, where he lost that fight by split decision. and lost all the belts that he had at 135 pounds. And then that's how we had Devin Haney become the undisputed champion, by beating George Kambosos. I don't think he's the same guy that he once was, and you can't fight the way how you did last night, barely escaping. I still believe he lost against Sandoor Martin, but you can't escape and then calling out the top guys in boxing. Not even in your weight, he's calling out some guys in his weight class, but still calling out the top names at 135 pounds, saying that Devin Haney would be light work. We know that's not the case. If Devin Haney dismantled and dominated George Kambosos, somebody that he couldn't beat twice, that Teofimo Lopez couldn't beat once, and Devin Haney did it on back-to-back separate occasions in George Kambosos' backyard in his own country in Australia, that's not going to happen. You can't call out Gervonta Davis, who has a lot of ammunition, a lot of power. If you were getting dropped by Sandoor Martin, which should have been ruled twice, you're not going to be able to handle the power of Gervonta Davis, whether that fight were to take place at 135 or 140. You can't call him out and say he's light work either. And you can't call out somebody that you could never beat, George Kambosos, after the fact that you're calling him out, the fact that he lost back-to-back times in dominating fashion by the hands of Devin Haney. That's just going after his leftovers, something that you couldn't do the first time before Devin Haney even got in the ring with him. You can't do that. And I just expect more from him. He has the potential. He's only 25 years of age. He still has it in the ring. I'm not giving up on him. He still has the speed, the athleticism, the punching power. The combination strikes are there for him. He has the boxing IQ, but he has to believe in his own heart that he can do it like the top guys in the sport are right now. And he looks very vulnerable at 140 pounds in his first two fights. When you look at the first fight that I brought up, why did that only go 10 rounds in his debut at 140 pounds, where he nearly beat Pedro Campa in that bout in August, and then just barely escaped by the skin of his teeth against Sandoor Martin last night? That's just not going to cut it at 140 pounds. Then after the fact, I really do believe that Top Rank is protected that man on the scorecard. It is what it is. I just feel like that second knockdown should have been scored for Sandoor Martin, but it wasn't. And I just have to believe that Teofimo Lopez might have not even believed he won that fight, because he does the Heisman Trophy Award thing. When he wins fights, he puts on the winning Heisman Trophy winner a jersey of them and does the Heisman pose in the ring. This year, the Heisman Trophy winner was Caleb Williams. He was wearing a Trojans uniform USC jersey after the fight, where he was caught on camera questioning himself, do I still got it? Am I still that guy in the sport of boxing? Well, you can't do that when you narrowly escaped wins at 140 pounds. And this is a division that you wanted to come up to, because you had a clear rematch against George Kambosos that could have took place in Australia for a unified championship fight, and then Devin Haney probably would have been undisputed down the line in that division, but you declined and decided to go up a weight class at 140 pounds. I don't think he looked comfortable at this weight class. I think he could have considered the fact doing a couple more fights at 135 pounds and thought about it, instead of going up after you experienced your first loss at the hands of George Kambosos in his career. I don't think he's ready for any of the top dogs at 140 pounds. I came on this podcast several times to talk about how special and how many great fights we could see at the lightweight division, 135 pounds, where you have those top names in that division. Then you look at another division that's just as stacked as a lightweight division, as in the welterweight division in boxing at 147 pounds. There's a lot of tough competition up there as well. But this 140-pound division is pretty special as well. There's a lot of big names and a lot of big fights that can happen in this division. This is a division that should not be overlooked. So the way I look at it on paper, I don't think Teofimo Lopez can hang with those top dogs at the 140-pound division. You have Regis. I don't think he can beat these following guys I'm about to name. You have Regis, Gregorius. I don't think he can hang with him after what I saw his first two fights at 140. Josh Taylor, the top guy right now at 140 pounds, definitely don't want to see him. He's the undisputed guy. He is definitely not ready for a Josh Taylor fight. And then you have Jose Ramirez. I think he's not ready for him as well. Those are the top three names right now, 140 pounds. If you can't hang with at least one of them, there's a problem. And I dang sure don't want to see him get in there. He sure, for his own sake, should not want Devin Haney to move up and fight him at 140 pounds, because there's a lot of speculation that if this fight happens between Devin Haney and Lomachenko at 135 pounds, with an undisputed championship match on the line. If Devin Haney's successful, there's talks of Devin Haney moving up to the 140-pound division, and we both know these guys wanted to fight each other for a long time. So Teofimo Lopez definitely doesn't even want to see Devin Haney move up, who I believe will be more comfortable at the 140-pound division. He definitely does not want to see them. So if I don't see an improvement in his next fight, it's for Teofimo Lopez. Whoever he fights next at 140 pounds, he might want to consider moving back down to 135 pounds or doing something different, because this is one of the best prodigies that boxing has right now. He doesn't look like himself after suffering his first career loss against George Kambosos. Mentally, physically, he doesn't look the same to me. And this is 2 fights now that we've seen him in the ring since suffering his first loss. So if Teofimo Lopez doesn't get it right, get it back on track, I think we're going to see one of the biggest downfalls of one of the top prospects in boxing, instead of progressing, finding the way to degressing in their young career. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.